What is going on YouTube? Free Tendies Fantasy, doing our nightly couple drafts. I forgot to sync my recent drafts with our indecent exposure portfolio on here, but that is okay. We will tough through it. Ted, how are you, buddy? How is your day going?
Good. The Slappy community, the we take preseason football too seriously community is in shambles right now over the Jeremiah Love news, the high ankle. You know, if he's still there in the third round of drafts, I think that's a totally reasonable price to pay for him. He should be ready to go in my estimation by the time the season starts.
Yep, that's definitely how some people will see it. I never feel great when I go to two doctors who I go to for fantasy advice, and one of them goes, "I'm dropping him to RB 24," and the other one goes, "This shouldn't affect you at all. I'm keeping him at RB 13." That's never a good feeling for me. I'd like when there's a consensus, and that was the divergence I saw today between Deepak Shona and Jeff Mueller. Um, I don't really know. I've said for like 2 years, the biggest in season injury that can happen for me to freak out about a player is a high ankle. Besides a PCL now, I think a PCL is officially on that list after some of the shenanigans the last couple of years. So maybe a PCL is the biggest, but the next one is the high ankle. It really damages explosivity. So for a player that I already had offensive concerns about and role concerns, I would say it's a bummer to pick that up in a meaningless preseason game where he's getting workhorsed for 15 touches in like 3 quarters. Um, yeah,
Typically, your backups do start more in the preseason.
yeah, sure. Um,
Well, I mean, so I think RB 24 is goofy. I think that's entirely too much, right? And I think that the thesis behind Jeremiah Love, if you were making that click, you have to understand that he's going to start out slow. He was going to start out slow anyways, regardless of an ankle injury. And that to me, the Jeremiah Love pick is like a late season pick. It's like going to be the guy who goes off in the playoffs. Like that's kind of the archetype of player that I think we're drafting when we go for that guy. So some news about the high ankle in preseason. Like I think he was getting settled in or worked into the offense like more gently anyways. So I don't it doesn't change my mind too much about that.
we'll do an Ashton Genty here today. James Cook goes. Yeah, if that's how you felt, it shouldn't change your mind too much about it. For me, it's less about the slow start because I don't really care about that. I care about that juicy playoff schedule, right? Which is the big deal.
Yeah.
Mueller laid it out, right? You're typically looking at about a 25% dip in fantasy production over the first 4 to 6 weeks he's back. So he's not scheduled back for week one yet. They said they're hoping for week one. So I don't like, though, that you are signing up for 5 to 7 weeks of dipped production. I've been taking a lot of Chase Brown lately. We'll do a Marion Hampton. I sort of just switch off between them. I'm feeling good about Chase Brown, but I get a lot of him in full PPR for the DraftKings. That was where I was really jamming him. In half PPR, I like the touchdown upside of O'Marion. So we get an Ashton Genty, O'Marion Hampton start. I was really just worried, because you can float, especially the teams where I was going to take Jeremiah Love because I like taking two running backs in the first 3 rounds if I can. It was going to be a lot of if I get the first or second pull and I can pair them with Bijan or Gibbs. That was going to be where I took him, and you're probably still okay there, but Jesse Morris, right, who is the original guy who turned me on to the high ankle thing like 3 years ago, and it's when I started really paying attention to it. It is a 4 to 6 month window before you're back to 100%. And it's almost impossible to get back to 100% while you're still working through it. And then the initial timeline they're giving him of 4 to 6 weeks from today as we sit here means it's probably like a more mild, or more moderate one, not a mild one, right? So it's just hard for me to, again, what kills me is I tend to just outsource this stuff to medical experts. And then when the medical experts have a split opinion, I'm always like, oh no.
Hate to do it to you, but my headphones died. Can you pull up OBS and just see if it's the bar is messed up?
No, there you are.
Oh no, we're good. We're good. That's surprising. Okay.
Don't know why
We
it
lived.
survived. Yeah, it survived that time. Okay. Um, yeah, so to me, that's the only thing that stresses me out is I really do like a nice medical consensus on something that I can go look at, and I'm not all of a sudden that's not happening. So I'm like, oh boy. with the indecent exposure thing. Okay, there we go.
I mean, to me, mid third round still feels like the range you click him, right? Because you're giving up if you're drafting him at the 2-3 turn, or you're pulling him up like near the middle or the back of the second round, you're giving up some serious dogs to draft him.
Yeah.
I think that mid third is more acceptable.
Yeah, what it probably changes for me is if I get the first or second pick. If Brock Bowers is there, I'll still let a Brock Bowers rip, obviously, because that would be pick 23 or 24. That's where I find his price much more palatable. And but Brock Bowers, or just take two pillar wide receivers, come back around at the 4-5 turn. If one of the dead zone guys I like is there, that's who will be my RB2 instead of when I'm chasing there, because I trust myself so much with that with the wide receivers in round 4, 5, 6, 7. I've had such good success the last few years, like picking there. I really do have like a high degree of trust in myself. That's why I would always opt for like what I perceive to be a potential, if you end up with a second RB1 paired with Bijan or Gibbs, that was going to be my move at the turn, was try to get my second running back and trust myself to fill in wide receiver as I went. Instead, now I think it's going to be like, I'll take some boring volume, right? So is that I haven't picked T. Higgins in a while. I will still take Igbuka here if he's here. I don't want to like get off that entirely with the turf toe. It does make me a little more nervous. I haven't taken T. Higgins in a while. We'll take T. Higgins. I end up with a lot of Lad McConkey, Omarion Hampton, and I want to diversify off that a little bit. So after Igbuka, I have 14% Josh Jacobs. Shout out to Indecent Exposure. Take a lot of Terry McLaurin in the fourth round, a lot of Jalen Waddle, a lot of Josh Jacobs. Yeah, that is my portfolio building strategy. So what it changes for me is, and it's just like a mild bummer. It's not some season altering thing. I just kind of go, oh man. I was really excited at the idea that I could pair a top 12 potential running back, or like a close to top 12 running back with, we are going to go T. Higgins there. That is pretty sweet. With, the mega weapons in Bijan and Gibbs, and then take either a wide receiver there or a Brock Bowers, and then jam wide receiver. So it's just a little different, right? A little bit of a downgrade. My guys at the turn right now, if I want something just safe and comfy, I'll go with a Swift or a Montgomery. If you want an upside swing, I think Tootin and Bucky are really good upside swings. I'm still comfortable with ETN. I know people are freaking out a little bit about that report that it's a clear like early down, passing down split between him and Kamara. Kamara just looked terrible last year. I don't know if that like really matters too much. I think it matters in that like ETN probably won't be an RB1 like he potentially could have been if there were no Kamara there, but I still think he's going to be a rock solid RB2. So I think there's like enough volume there. Cam Scatterbo looked pretty good with his touches. So I'm at least a little more comfortable than I was before we saw him in the preseason game. I thought he looked all right. So, yeah, it's just more about like, for me, it's not how I prefer to build. I like having that second RB1 there from the third round. And history shows that third round running backs are one of the most plus EV picks you could make. So I'm just a little annoyed giving that up. That's all.
Well, was another big winner today in that dead zone running back range. It was DeAndre Swift. Since Kyle Monangai left practice today with a knee injury, was escorted out by trainers and is getting an MRI.
I did not see that.
They say it's nothing, but if that develops into something, I think that DeAndre Swift all of a sudden, I would take him over Scatterbo. I would take him over ETN. I think like mid fourth round, like in that hot like run of wide receivers.
Oh yeah.
Depending on how that goes.
Depending on how that goes, if they were to say like it's an 8 to 12 week injury for Monangai or something, I would be willing to chase Swift all the way up to like the 3-4 turn. Swift to me.
Like I'm wondering, can you pull up the draft board? I want to see where he went in here. I want to see if people reacted to that. I
don't know if he's gone yet. Well, yeah, we're late. Okay, so Swift Gibbs, yes. That's a pretty sweet start too. I like that. Yeah, I don't I don't know. So this is annoying, right? Because I would like to stack Joe Burrow with T. Higgins. I think the elite wide receiver or quarterbacks are really well priced, but I also really like the idea of getting two of these receivers that I'm so fond of in here, especially since Terry's been sliding down. We'll have to see if I get Terry. That would open up a Terry Jaden. Obviously, I'm still drafting Parker Washington. I love Christian Watson. We'll see. We'll see what the board gives us.
There was a delicious opinion piece today from an ESPN reporter saying that Parker Washington is the clear wide receiver one. We got our classic beat reporter opinion piece that people are like taking to the bank and running with.
Yeah, no, not me. Although that article was enough to get Parker Washington pulled up right here. I'm okay with. I prefer Christian Watson to Rome Odunze, especially in best ball, but I'm okay with either one. I'm very happy with either of those picks. Okay, so we're gonna make Rome Odunze the pick here. Jordan Tyson was our jam here. That, of course, has slowed down while we await news about the hammy. Sounds like it's okay. He's jogging around practice, like, which is at least better than like if they said he can't, he's in a hospital bed or something, then I would be panicking. But I still don't know how much that means because a hamstring is not really that you can no longer walk. That's not really the concern. The concern is, does it flare up when you start going again? Okay, so I very rarely make a Joe Burrow pick. He's one of my least favorite picks at cost, but I think we will. We'll stack Joe Burrow with T. Higgins here. He's still, as I was corrected on Reddit, clearly has QB1 overall upside if he's healthy. Not really a lot of back stacks I like with Burrow, but that's okay. I don't take a ton of T, so we will get a stack there. That is interesting about Swift. I did not know that, but that is... an underrated aspect of contingent upside when you do take starters that is less discussed. What's funny is I've been seeing clips of Monty catching passes in Texans practice. Clearly the market's reacting to that. Monty at 41. Calm down, fellas.
Dude, look at that Bucky Irving, Quinshon Judkins slide. Like, that's awesome. You can get them in the 6th round. It's never going to happen in the Yahoo rooms.
No, and if I didn't go double hero running back, I'd be more interested there. I'm very happy with this receiving room. Egbuka, Higgins, Odunze. But, that's an under-discussed aspect of split backfields. What happens if the backup goes down? It's a degree of contingent upside, right, for someone like Swift. To me, the thing with Swift is he was the RB9 last year, and this team was openly... Ben Johnson was telling us he thinks their defense is bad and they're going to have to be the highest scoring team in the league. So to me, it was just always he's going to be the pass catching back for a team that might be the highest scoring team in the league with one of the worst defenses in a very competitive division. That was a very easy click for me to click DeAndre Swift, anywhere from like pick 43, 44 on. But if you're talking about now, I don't know if that's multiple injuries or if it's the same injury for Kyle Monangai. He had that thing that popped up a little bit ago. I don't know if this is a continuation of it or something new happened. But if you're either talking about now a multi-week knee injury or multiple injuries for Kyle Monangai, then Swift to me is like an absolute jam. Probably as soon as Jacobs comes off the board, I'm interested in Swift.
Yeah, so earlier he had a soft tissue thing that was minor, and now this is the inner construction of your knee if you're getting an MRI. So different things. Not a great start though. For I think I have like 20% Monangai at least. Not feeling great.
Damn. 20% Monangai is not ideal. But, look, dude, I don't know. These things happen when me and Ted were doing a whole lot of drafting in July. That it just happens. I am learning, right? This is my second year going really hard on best ball. I do think it's really interesting with some of the ADP shifts we've seen. I understand why some of the sharp guys like to push their drafts into August. It seems like I'm seeing way more players dip that I did not see before. Okay, so we've taken way too much Chris Godwin up here, and I haven't paired a ton with Egbuka. And Tucker Kraft looks like he's going to be a little slow to get going here, which is fine. I have a huge Kraft position. I'm happy with it. But let's do a Jaden Reed, not a player I pick very often. Certainly more of a best ball than a redraft pick to me, but we should mix that in a little bit.
Yeah, I think for redraft with the Kraft news, like I'm still excited about Kraft, but I think at cost I would prefer
Laporta.
I just prefer Laporta over him.
That's what happened for me. That's how.
This is why we don't do home league drafts. Like it's very hard to not be drafting yet. Everyone's getting the itch. We're seeing all the underdog drafts. Content's getting rolling.
Yep.
There's a reason why you wait, and it's to let these injuries and news adjudicate itself. So that way you are drafting with the most informed, like the best information, the most complete information before the season starts.
Yep. So again, we take a ton of Chris Godwin, but I can't even count the number of Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka rosters I have. It's probably ridiculous because they're two guys I'm very high on. So, when you're approaching 200 drafts, I do want to mix it up a little bit. We'll do a Michael Wilson. I would say all things considered, even with the Love injury, even, it was just, it's not even like the preseason game thing. It's just overall, right? I trust the LaFleur family as an offensive staff. I think their offense is pretty talented. I think the cost is reasonable for all of them. I think McBride is reasonable in the third. I think Love is reasonable in the third. I think MHJ in the seventh is a shot I'm more than willing to take. And I think Michael Wilson is your wide receiver 5, which, is not a big investment. These are all shots I'm happy to take. They're not necessarily like big targets of mine, but I still want to leave the light on. What if Michael Wilson just comes out like he did last year? What if there's just no drop off at all? That's actually what Michael Wilson is. And he goes nuts. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I think it's possible.
There's a large contingent of people that believe that.
Yeah,
like it's not a small minority of people.
Yeah, I don't know if it's likely, but like, could you imagine if everyone ignored him and he just right off the rip, like wide receiver 5, just keeps going? I don't know. It could happen, man. I also watched a good fantasy debate. I wish I remember who. I don't even remember who. It's just all a blur at this point. About Jordan Love and his QB5 finish in 2023 or 2024. Apparently, the push from the Packers organizationally is they want to get back to air it out Jordan Love. They want to get back to like the more modernized spread offense type stuff, less ground and pound, less like work the field methodically. So, Ted has been very bullish about Love all summer. I would just say generally too, that makes me feel really good. We have a bunch of QB2s we've been pushing to the readers, to the viewers. For me, it's been more a Baker Mayfield thing and like a Jared Goff thing. Those are my two guys I'm really big on, but Ted's been very big on Love. I just feel really good about that whole tier of guys. I think it's a very comfy range for me to be shopping in this year.
I'm not sure if air it out for the Packers is going to result in more wins for them on the football field, given Jordan Love's propensity to make the most boneheaded decisions in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm not drafting NFL wins. I'm drafting a fantasy team.
Yep. That's exactly it. Harold Fannin, not a pick I make a lot unless it's well past ADP, or at least what I consider to be a good value. This isn't well past ADP, but I'll throw a Harold Fannin in here if I get him. Okay, Harold Fannin goes. Of course he does.
Easy Dobbins for me.
Yeah, I don't do Dobbins on the double hero builds. Honestly, I could do Corey Krosky Merritt. No, this will be a Mason for me. JCM, definitely one I want to keep picking at, but to me, what's the rookie's name there that we've been drafting all summer? The big fella, Katron Allen. Katron Allen looked as advertised as a big mauler on the goal line. That was what I thought his profile projected really strongly as, was a goal line type guy. Man, that dude gets in there in his first preseason game. He was the first rookie in NFL preseason history to have 23 rushes without losing a single yard. He looks like a refrigerator. He wouldn't run the 40 because he's so slow. Okay, and then, so we almost always go Baker Mayfield here. I probably could have gone Golden there if I thought I was going to swing back around on Love. We almost always go Baker Mayfield here. I prefer Goff. But we have the Love and Jaden Reed stack, and it's not a pick I make a lot, so we will go ahead and throw Love in there, assuming he does not have a week 6 bye. No, he does not. But yeah, so Katron Allen, I do wonder, is he going to pick some goal line work up in on the Skins? Again, that really is how he profiled in college, so I think that's at least on my radar for JCM. He might get squeezed from both sides. We'll wait and see how preseason goes. Certainly not saying anything definitive. He's a late round draft pick, but he is Penn State's all-time leading rusher over Saquon Barkley. So he's a pretty good player. He's not just some nobody. Again, one very specific role. It's not like I think he's going to be a fantasy star or anything. But it's a specific role that would, in fact, hurt JCM's value. And then he loses his left tackle and has White there taking touches from him. I think it could get a little messy there, potentially.
Yeah, I preferred JC. I preferred Bill to Mason before the Tunsil injury,
Yeah.
and now with Tunsil down, I feel like I can break that tie to Mason. I'm still not thrilled with either of them, but
Yeah.
there is a shakeout where that works out.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know. Again, Mason's issue for me has just always been health. He's a 5.1 yard per carry career rusher. He's a pretty good power rusher. Um, I like you know, I like his profile this year if he were to really get a hold of that early down role with the Vikings. With how good that defense is, and the fact that I think their offense will be more competent. Like Mason could have, what, like 7 touchdowns this year, 6 to 8 touchdowns maybe. I don't know. It's interesting to me, and it's always been a player that I'm a really big fan of, which of course does mean I'm biased to some extent. KC.
Well, we were the first Jordan Mason
Yep,
riders.
we were the first
We were
Bulls.
making we were making Jordan Mason thumbnails in 23, 24.
Yep, yep, yep. Very underrated player, dude. Again, to me, it's like if they really gave him the role, and I want to say he had like a 3 or 4 week. Josh and Hayden were talking about this. He had a 3 or 4 week starting run last year when Aaron Jones went down, and he was like the RB 18 on RB 19 usage. So like when they gave him the lead role, he was a top 20 back. I like that risk reward when we're talking about like mid RB3 prices here. Okay, so let's see who comes back. I've been on a big Dijon Stribling hype lately. We'll see if he comes back here. Would love to throw him in as our wide receiver 6. If not, we're way behind at tight end. He's been getting horrific ink, but I continue to draft Mark Andrews. I feel
Can
really
I
good.
interest you in some Isaiah Likely?
No, I'm not an Isaiah.
Oh well, he's not anyways.
He went, but no, I'm not an Isaiah likely drafter. They took him off the field for run blocking downs, which is sort of the death nail for production for tight ends. And he did not play at all in the preseason. They were rotating in a run blocking tight end and Theo Johnson. So if that is the usage, Isaiah likely will be someone I'm entirely off. We'll see how that develops as the postseason goes. No, for me, it's Dallas Goedert here. I've loaded up so heavily on Mark Andrews, but the Goddard thing so Lemon hasn't been able to take the field. Apparently, what's his name? Eli Stowers is just terrible, like so far. He'll get better, but the coaching staff has been trashing Eli Stowers. And to me, it spells out, well, okay, so is Dallas Goedert just going to be the middle of the field guy again for Jalen Hurts coming off a tight end 5 season? Like, that seems like a pick I want to keep making. So we probably will here if given the opportunity. Dijon Stribling. Could have gotten him in the 170s all year. If I was not a loser. If I was not a loser who could see things before they happen. That always makes me feel like such a dork. Could not see something before it happened. I had to wait till everyone else saw it, and then you end up paying the price when that goes down.
I mean, I wasn't drafting him when Ricky still was looking like he might play this season.
Yeah.
I would just draft Ricky in the 10th round and be thrilled about it.
Yep.
Or I guess 9th round. I'd go up a little before pick 100 overall for Ricky because I was so excited about that. But he went down, and I was like, well, I think Stribling's going to have to play. And then obviously the Debo signing kind of, I don't know. It didn't really knock him down that much, but I feel like people weren't paying attention. And now we have one preseason game, and all the slappies are in. They're like, get me more Dijon Stribling, baby.
Yeah.
I'm glad I built my position early.
So I am, what I'm happy about is I wrote the article before the preseason game for 49ers Hub. And that one it did pretty well too on Twitter about, I think he should be, to me, it's like there's no more perfect idea of the developmental upside wide receiver 5 than a Dijon Stribling, right? I always want my wide receiver 5 to be someone with almost no floor that I can cut at any time, but with a ceiling that they can entrench themselves in my lineup and be a permanent contributor as the year goes on. To me, Dijon Stribling is the absolute perfect encapsulation of that. Is that Juwan Johnson going there? God damn, man. I've been chasing Juwan up boards with this injury, but he should be going higher. I believe he's an absolute. Now he constitutes a tight end sleeper, depending on what happens with Tyson, right? Nothing has happened with Tyson yet. We're still up in the air. But depending on what happens, I think there's a real case to be made that Juwan Johnson is severely underpriced at the moment.
I think I spent like $35 at Fab in our league last year on Juwan Johnson.
Yep.
I'm not happy about that.
Oh, dude, come on! I had multiple teams that were starting Juwan by the end of the year. After the tight end apocalypse, the tight end injury apocalypse, I ended up rolling Juwan often.
Well, it was like because you had those first couple of weeks before Chris Olave was really producing, where like the offense for whatever reason ran through Jawan Johnson, and
Yep.
then Chris Olave started getting really good, and Jawan Johnson just became a non-factor. So then I dropped a bunch of fab on Gadsden, who had like a really nice 3 week stretch, and then he was a zero at the end too. So
Yep. We'll
that
check
was a
where.
Colston Loveland roster where I dropped him, by the way. So fuck me.
Yeah. Yep. There goes Brenton, or there goes, yeah, Brenton Strange, a favorite of mine. I don't know if I'd call him a channel favorite. I think Ted's kind of neutral on him, but I've been very pro Brenton Strange. Um, we'll take we'll take Tank if he's there. One of my favorite upside swings on the entire board. Unfortunately, my favorite upside swing in Jonah Coleman got a bunch of hype. Again, that was one where I was absolutely crushing that before the preseason because I knew what was going to happen because he's a really good looking runner. Actually, looks a lot like Kyle Monangai. But unfortunately, he goes out there, he looks good, and then he's flying up draft boards. So that may be one where we have to let him go.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. He's not going to play unless J.K. Dobbins goes down, which, like you said, he's never finished a regular season, so it is possible.
Yep.
But Jalen Waddle went on Instagram and called him Maurice Jones-Drew today. If that wasn't exciting enough
Oh,
for the Jonah Coleman guys.
Dude, I've been absolutely crushing him. I'm gonna probably try to fit him on the back of every single bench I can as my like 6 running back, or that floating spot that you get on Yahoo. He's gonna be a big guy. I'm going all in. He's a guy I've been going all in on all summer. I don't know what I have. I have like a 22% exposure to him on here. So maybe not 22%. Maybe I'm a little bit lower. Let's check indecent exposure. Shout out to indecent exposure. Jonah Coleman, 19%. Yeah. So, but that was, again, on that one, I did see it before it was coming because I loved his college tape. I actually went and rewatched like an hour of his stuff the other day. That when you walked in on me doing that, I like had to close the highlights down. You're like, what are you doing? I said, watching Jonah Coleman highlights. Yeah, so I did get ahead of that one, and now he's off and running. And again, I think he should be personally. I think that's a reasonable response to everything that's gone on.
Maybe. Maybe he could also be Elijah Arroyo.
Yes. Yep. That's the definition.
By the way, Elijah Arroyo looked great. He looked great in preseason.
He did. He looks good. Again, I'm still betting my AJ Barner bets, but Elijah Arroyo did look good. He did. I like that profile of guy. God, Mike Washington flew up. Again, shout out to Nico, not the Indecent Exposure tool. Nico from Indecent Exposure, the owner of Indecent Exposure. When he got on our first stream, goes, how is Mike Washington free? And I took him as a shout out to him. I said, hey man, I'll draft you. You said to draft Mike Washington, I'll do it. And then one big preseason run, again, he's off and running too. Although, again, to me, it's just an eye test thing. He did look really good on the field to me. Like he looked like a beast physically. So, of course people are excited, which I think is fine. But God, man, he busted a great run in his game. Looks like he's probably going to end up being the clear backup to Ashton Genty.
I would just ask what you're buying at that point. Like I feel like Ashton Genty, we draft him highly because we all believe in the talent and the role that he's going to have, right? When you downgrade the talent from Ashton Genty to Mike Washington,
and it's quite a downgrade.
You may be getting 100% of the Raiders, but
right.
What is that worth? I think he's worth like tacking on at the back of drafts or whatever, especially if you're a Genty roster and you want to stake your claim in the Raiders running game.
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think what are you buying there is you're just buying. If you're buying into the Raiders run game at all this year, no matter how much I love Genty, which I certainly do love Genty, you're buying Clint Kubiak, I think is what you're buying, right? So if you have faith that Clint Kubiak is the run game designer and the offensive designer more generally that we seem to think he is as a collective community. Wow, there goes Ferguson too. Ferg, man. He's off and running. Dude, you could regularly get Ferguson as the last pick. When we started doing these, he would be around there at like pick 218 or 215. And then you could get him anytime you wanted at 190 to 200. And now he's in the low 170s or high 170s. He's running too. I love the price on McMillan here, but I really want to make sure I have a second tight end I feel great about. And then McMillan goes there anyway. Okay. So that'll be AJ Barner if he gets back to us. Kenyon Sadiq with his sports hernia continues to fall. I would have thought he was interesting as your tight end 3 because like he can catch and run. He's a really good athlete, but not with a sports hernia. I'm not dealing with that. I probably could have taken Zach Charbonnet there too. We'll see if Zach Charbonnet comes back to us. That would be a banger. You know what too? We'll do a Fernando Mendoza with Trey Tucker. Yeah. We have a Joe Burrow, Jordan Love. Mendoza looked pretty pro-ready to me. What do you think? So that's a huge slide on Charbonnet. But do we need, like, is an RB5 paramount here or is a QB3 better here? And I have the Tucker stack with Mendoza. What do you think?
If you believe in Jordan Mason, then I think you should take Fernando Mendoza.
Okay, we're going to do Mendoza. I believe and I have Genty. Actually, yeah. Wait. That was a no-brainer. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Okay. So I consider this a stack because I think Genty catches 60 to 70 balls. So, okay. To me, Fernando Mendoza, which we all expected this, he looks pro-ready. He looks out of the package, ready to roll. So I think it is going to be sooner rather than later that he starts. Again, to Ted's credit, Ted has just thought that all year. He's been drafting like that all year. I thought we would get 6 to 8 weeks of Kirk Cousins, but I
still think that's probably the most likely outcome.
You think?
Yeah, I think that they'll start with Kirk, and then the Raiders will predictably lose a bunch of games, and then they will turn it over to the rookie. Either that or Kirk gets injured, one of the two.
Yeah. Kirk gets injured. I don't know. I hope Kirk doesn't get injured. He's a nice guy, man. I like Kirk Cousins.
I'm not hoping Kirk gets injured. I like Kirk Cousins too.
I know. I wasn't saying you were.
I'm just not drafting him on fantasy teams anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, no, certainly not. No. God, no. I've never once looked at a fantasy roster and been like, you know what this needs? A little sprinkle of Kirk.
Actually,
Sprinkle of Kirk.
You did that a disgusting amount, like 4 to 5 years ago when he was still on the Vikings.
Oh.
Like you were like, I really like Kirk Cousins in the mid-rounds, and I'd be like, why? Why do you think Kirk Cousins?
Wait. Do you remember that, though? He was the QB3 that year. That was the year that year I got Kirk Cousins stacked with Justin Jefferson for free. And then he blew out his Achilles right before the playoffs. It killed me. Dude, that was the year he did great. Do you remember that? Kirk had like a real prime for a minute with the
that was
with the Vikings.
He was on the quarterback, wasn't he? Yeah, no, they went like 7-0. They beat the Bills on like that crazy Jefferson one-handed catch on 4th down. I think it was on the quarterback.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
That was the Achilles year. That was the last time we saw prime Kirk. Kirk had a good prime for a minute. But yeah, you are correct. I did stand for Kirk. I mean, this year though, I've never been like, you know what you need to do is add some Kirk. Rookie high.
I think Kirk was better than Michael Penix.
Yeah, it depends how you define better. Depends how you define better. He's certainly a more technically sound quarterback.
Oh, let me see. Let me look at the Falcons' record with Michael Penix last year and with Kirk Cousins last year. This is actually very funny. It's a very hilarious split.
It's probably not pretty.
Oh, dude. Kirk had a winning record last year with that team. Swear to God.
No. Yeah, it's wild, man.
Yeah, so Penix started through the San Francisco game, and I think he missed 2. No, he played for the Indy game. No, I got it. So he started out the season 2-2 before the bye week. Then he went 1-5, or no, 1-4. I'm sorry. Kirk mixed in 1 against the Miami team, and then to finish the season in the last 7 games, Kirk Cousins was 5-2, with wins over the Rams, Bucks.
It's very funny.
Well, Penix is a disaster, man. But there is one thing we love Michael Penix for, and that is being able to find Drake London.
All right, so options of a whole lot of meh here. I can go with Darren Waller, Charlie Kolar, or Evan Ingram as my tight end 3. What's your pick there?
We are Charlie Kolar.
All right. You're not just making the Charlie Kirk joke, right? You actually want Charlie Kohler there.
I am just making the Charlie Kirk joke. I would do anyone other than him.
We'll do Waller. building a small Waller position. Honestly, though, I actually think he could catch like 5 touchdowns this year. Maybe that gets him on your boards. Okay. So here is the team, the free Tendies patented running back start into a bunch of receivers. Ashton Gentio, Marion Hampton, Emeka Egbuka, T. Higgins, Roma Dunze, Joe Burrow, Reed, Wilson, Mason, Love, Stribling, Goddard, Bigsby, Tucker, Barner, Mendoza, Johnson, because he looked pretty good in the preseason game. I think he is the direct backup to Kenneth Walker. I was kind of unsure about that, but I'll treat him like that, at least going forward. Darren Waller, tight end 3.
That's an interesting 17th round Keon Coleman right next to you, given the fact that he posted a picture on his Instagram today in a walking boot. So not only are you buying Keon Coleman, but you're buying a hurt Keon Coleman.
He posted a picture in a walking boot?
Yes, he was walking his pit bull with a walking boot on.
He has a pit bull?
So he is, yes.
These fucking people, dude. Oh, no, you know what? You can't do that. You can't have a strong opinion like that, because then there's like some percentage of pit bull owners that might watch the channel that'll hate you forever.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It is
I
so
think
irresponsible.
I think any dog breed can be a good pet, and if you have an out of control animal, it's on you. It's not on the breed of animal. That being said, though, I feel like a pit bull is like a loaded AK-47, and we should be careful about who owns them. That's all.
Yeah, that's definitely the most. It's the most convivial stance I could think of. I would not be so giving. I think you are putting people and society at risk. Because you love your pet. That is incredibly selfish, in my opinion. Go listen to some of the 911 calls of people watching their children get eaten in their living room. And like that to me is like, at least that affected your family, not someone else's. Go listen to the audio recordings of just someone else watching someone get eaten by people's pit bulls. It's just a good way to make people hate you, to rant about that. I think it's so irresponsible. I think it is such an irresponsible thing to own.
Well, as a regular watcher of The Dog Whisperer with Caesar Milan.
Do you actually watch that?
Lovers.
Do you actually watch that?
Yes, yeah, because when I got Chef, I needed to like learn how to own a pet, right? So I watched Caesar.
Okay.
And Caesar had this pit bull named Daddy that he got from Redman, the rapper.
Okay.
Like Redman gave him a pit bull, and this pit bull was very sweet, and he would use it as like his dog that he would bring in to like when other dogs are going crazy or whatever, right? He'd bring Daddy in, and Daddy would kind of like let the other dogs know, hey, we're not doing that right now. But he was gentle and kind. So I think any dog can be a good dog.
Certainly I think that's true. I mean, again, right, oh God, there goes Jonathan Taylor. Okay. No, he doesn't. There he doesn't. Okay. So, you know what?
JSN's wild.
Yeah, you know what? No, this is best ball 3 wide receivers, so we are going to go JSN. In redraft, I'm ripping Jonathan Taylor there. But, yeah, no, not in this format.
People continue to fade JSN for no discernible reason. I will be, even though I want to start running back in my Tendies League drafts and in redraft, I will, if Jackson Smith-Njigba is there after 5, I will take him.
After 5 I told you that's actually a weird nuance for me in how I'm viewing that, because from 5 you're guaranteed to get the running back coming back to you from 6. So from 6 I'm totally comfortable ripping JSN because I know I can get a running back on the comeback. From 5, if it falls the way that it falls on here often, where CeeDee Lamb and Jefferson goes but the receivers don't go, or Brock Bowers doesn't go, you're guaranteed to not get you're likely to not get a running back to you. So for me, it's like I prefer a Jonathan Taylor, AJ Brown start to like a JSN Brock Bowers start, but your mileage may vary. Maybe you're totally comfortable. I want that running back early to anchor my running back room, because I still really like the back end wide receiver ones this year. But some people might view that differently. Some people might hate the back end wide receiver ones and think that JSN is like this huge upgrade there. I totally understand if that's how you feel. but like I'm comfortable
I mean,
with.
I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's the difference between buying a known commodity and
Yeah.
buying something that we all think could happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you get into Lad McConkey's or Jalen Waddles, like we can all construct an argument about how they come back to form and
Yeah.
produce as an elite wide receiver this year, but JSN just put up over 20 points per game last year. So
Yep.
obviously you lose Kubiak. I would assume Rashid Shaheed gets more involved in the offense. I've been drafting all offseason like he will be.
All right. So that is take it to the bank. We get no Marion Hampton JSN start. That makes me very happy. Definitely an interesting board that came back here. AJ Brown, Drake London going high. I'm fine with people if they want to do that. It's just not personally what I want to do. What is up, Eagles Dynasty? Sorry for missing the chat. Where do you have Tyler Algier with the Jeremiyah Love news? I don't think it affects Tyler Algier and Jeremiyah Love. To me, it's just if you were drafting Algier before that, you were drafting Algier because he is the clear backup to a unknown commodity, as Ted just said, in Jeremiyah Love. That's it. He's just a really good handcuff that could score some touchdowns on a weekly basis. So, like, he's a handcuff plus because maybe you could throw him in there depending on the split. Jeremiyah Love, I wrote this up in my article, actually, for 49ers Hub. Jeremiyah Love, what is up in decent exposure? I just shouted you out, dude. You just helped me out, man. And I shouted you out for your call on Mike Washington. How are you, sir? Got Chase Hampton yesterday pretty tight. That is fantastic. Hey, man, I hope the Hampton news stays bearish. If I can reliably get Hampton in the second round, that's going to be a great one for me. But yeah, Eagle. So Love outsnapped Tyler Algier 24 snaps to 6 in the preseason. But what do you make of that? Because, as again, Ted rightly pointed out, starters tend to play less in the preseason. So does that mean that they were trying to give Love looks because he wasn't really the starter and Algier was? My interpretation is just that Love was going to get the passing game work and 50 to 60% of the carries by midseason. That's all I think, really. High ankle, rip Love. Yeah, indecent exposure. Nico, how skittish are you about high ankles? That is my dreaded injury. Like, the most dreaded injury I can hear about a fantasy player having is the high ankle. He's also really young. It sounds like it might be a mild high ankle, or a moderate high ankle, not a mild. How worried are you about third round Love? Is that more like a pick 30 to 36 thing for you now?
Yeah, Eagles Dynasty, to give you at least my take on it, I think that Tyler Algier already had a role within the offense before Love went down. I think that Love and Algier are going to be like a poverty Walmart version of Gibbs and Monty were in Detroit, right? So I think that they were both going to be like borderline flexible with Love kind of growing into his role at the end of the year. So I think Algier is if you're playing redraft, 11th, 12th round, tack on, right? Let's say Love's not ready. Algier gets a couple of weeks where he, is the full starter. That would be someone that I would draft and then try and flip pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If you're so inclined to do that.
So, Indecent Exposure pointed out that he is on the no-touch list with a high ankle. So I'm close to that. I don't know if I'm quite there. What I don't like is when I go to seek a medical opinion and there's no medical consensus. That's where I get really panicked because my opinion is usually just if 6 doctors that weigh in on fantasy say the same thing, that's my opinion. And the 6 doctors that weighed in on fantasy said divergent things. Jesse Morse said there's absolutely no way he plays at 100% at any point this year. Jeff Mueller said 25% dip in production for 4 to 6 weeks. Deepak Shona said he should be the RB24 taken in the 5th round now. So it's a complete mess. The turf toe with Igbuka is concerning to me, but if it's a low grade one, it should not. And it sounds like it was low grade because they said he was surgical options were never put on the table. Like Joe Burrow last year had the turf toe. Brock Purdy had the turf toe, right? Those were pretty severe. Those were 6 to 8 weeks and then declines in production after they came back. Doesn't sound like that's on the table for Igbuka, but if he doesn't start practicing soon, I think I will be more skittish around him because that's a long time for him to not play, Okay, we were just talking about this. We will throw DeAndre Swift in the queue behind Josh Jacobs if Jacobs goes. Pretty weird news. There goes Garrett Wilson. Okay. We're still going to take Josh Jacobs here until something comes down. That gives us a nice balanced O'Marion Hampton, Josh Jacobs, JSN, and Mecca Igbuka start. Yeah, until something more serious comes down on Igbuka, I will worry when the time comes. And then DeAndre Swift is interesting now with the concerns around Monangai.
Oh yeah, man. Like if that Monangai thing is serious, I think that DeAndre Swift, like I said earlier, should be like in
Yep.
that mid fourth round range.
Yep. Yep. He'll. I mean, like if Jacobs stays weird, just like the weird stuff going on with Jacobs. If Jacobs stays weird, I'm willing to pull Swift up pretty high. So the Adams turf toe year haunts me. Yeah, turf toe's a very weird one, dude. It makes it so you can't curl your feet. And then if you can't curl your feet, you can't explode off routes. And specifically for these more finesse route runners, I don't know if Igbuka's that necessarily, but Igbuka also wasn't a great route runner in college. That was actually kind of a weakness of his game. So if you sap even like a little more of that, I think it does become pretty concerning. We'll see. We'll see.
What are your thoughts on Bashal Tootin now? Is he in your undraftable range?
Nope.
In this like round 5?
Nope. Still my RB17, but I need to move that. I need to adjust that. I had him like way high. The news has gotten worse. Oh, we would have loved JMO Williams there. DJ Moore. No, we're chasing the hype. Going Parker Washington. Going Parker Washington as our wide receiver 3 there. No, so Tootin's got to slide back. I have to rework my rankings because I've been so like concerned with getting the draft guide done because that's the last like major piece, and I wanted that done before people are drafting, and it's taking a really long time. And then I need to go through and rework rankings. Tootin's going to drop a few spaces. I'm going to move Swift up a little bit. Montgomery's been very bullish. So, like, I think Tootin's going to slide to the back end of the tier. I think Bucky's gotten nothing but good news, so he's going to slide up. I have to bump Judkins down to probably RB25. I think he's officially... It's Judkins or Trevion. Keep switching off from my least favorite guy in that range. I think I'm pretty bearish on both of them just with the way their summers have gone. Yeah, so I have to adjust that a little bit. I have to definitely adjust that range.
I'm a lightweight Trevion Henderson buyer. I'm not all the way in. I'm not saying you need him on your team or whatever, but as a RB3, I think that is quite interesting.
Yeah. Yep, I think it's fine. Again, that's one where like I oftentimes want to be intellectually lazy and like have the heavy hitters tell me what to think. And when I'm watching high stakes drafting, they are so split on Trevion. There's a contingent of people who think he's the next Jahmyr Gibbs, and you're buying Jahmyr Gibbs for 6-round prices. There's a contingent of people who are totally convinced he is the backup running back to Ramondre Stevenson. There is
Round 6 Brooks.
Yeah. Dude, that's another one. Like, again, like, me, I was a huge Brooks guy. I'm just not chasing him up like that. Over Lamar Jackson. Well, I guess he had Josh Allen, so maybe it's a little different. But over Lamar Jackson and best ball, and it's too much. It's too much. It's getting out of control.
If we're going to take preseason as, like, predictive for the rest of your season, you look terrible.
Yeah.
You look really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 touches. But, yes, I do. I like to see guys... What I'm kind of hoping when I watch preseason is I'm hoping to see something that makes me excited about the player. Because, like, if they're playing backup guys... Okay, so I don't necessarily like Brian Thomas with... Okay, so we're going to order it Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas Jr. Do I have a chance at Trevor Lawrence? I do. Okay, we'll make this a Trevor Lawrence roster. And we will go Brian Thomas Jr. over Marvin Harrison Jr. And we'll come around and double stack Trevor Lawrence. Don't take those two together a lot, but I like both players this year, and I think this offense is more than capable of sustaining 2 pass catchers. I am one of those weird guys that thinks if Trevor Lawrence throws for 3,500 to 4,000 yards, it's not going to be Parker Washington getting 3,700 of them. I actually happen to believe other people can get involved, even if I favor Parker Washington by a good margin there. But yeah, man, I don't know how much juice there's left to squeeze when you're chasing Brooks. I just watched Ryan Heath and Theo Greminger do their $2,200 entry to, I believe it was the $2,200 entry to the main event, the $1 million tight end premium. I forget which one it was, whatever. It's the tight end premium one. And they were splitting a team, and they went with an anchor running back in Derrick Henry, and then came around in full PPR in round 7 and got Jonathan Brooks as their RB2 in a tight end premium full PPR league. And I thought, dude, that is like, you're getting a little irresponsible at that point, in my opinion. Now, they did balance it out. They got J.K. Dobbins after that, and I want to say Rashad White. So that's fine if like that's the kind of build you're doing. You're not going to lean on him right away, but I would not want to need him to come through as my RB2 this year.
But he's technically the RB3 on that roster with J.K. Dobbins.
Well, yeah, that was their thinking, was like Dobbins floats early. Okay. Oh, man. So we are on the clock with Jordan Tyson taking a huge slide there, but no, we're going to do... Why won't it switch off? We're going to do
Well, you
Trevor
might be able to
Lawrence.
just get Trevor Lawrence on the way back.
No, I want the double stack. That was what I built around.
That is risky. That is risky business, though. Like, if you had done that, like, how many picks do you have to wait? Like 10?
12.
Someone
12.
could have done it.
Yeah. I wanted the double stack. It's fine. That's what I wanted to do. You're making a bet if you're as in on Parker Washington as I am this year. If you're still drafting Brian Thomas Jr. when everyone seems to have given up on him, which I still am, and I love Brenton Strange, right? Very easy back stack. Take a Trevor Lawrence there. Double stack him up. But Jordan Tyson that far back is a smash for me. That kills me a little bit.
Well, the game theory there was that you took both of the relevant stacks, so people wouldn't be chasing up Trevor Lawrence, unless you had a guy like me in the room who was just going to take an uncorrelated quarterback.
Just likes to ruin stacks. I'm such a weird, like, egotistical creep. I think that people make picks to ruin my draft sometimes, like, because I'm just in my own head being weird about things. I've thought that before.
Yeah, man, you don't have Jamar Chase on your roster, therefore you have to take Quentin Johnston here instead of a quarterback.
Yeah. Very happy with that build, though, so far, because, again, I'm not out on Jacob. Still think he's going to be like a top 15 running back with top 12 upside. He averaged 16.6 points per game since he came to Green Bay. I'm really not that concerned about it, assuming he plays in full and he's cleared medically before week 1. So JSN, Hampton, Igbuka, Jacobs, Washington, Thomas, Lawrence is our start. There goes Tyson. Would have grabbed Tyson on the way back if I could have.
Yeah, that's too many picks. I think you made the right call there if you wanted to stack.
Yeah, I did. Because what can we do? We can do a 115 Baker Mayfield, or depending on what stacks I set up here, we'll see. I really like Brenton Strange with Lawrence, so I'm comfortable going 0 tight end and doing like I can see if Brenton Strange lasts to 150. If not, I can reach at 139, and then we'll have a chance at our, AJ Barner in there. I probably should be like diversifying off the back end tight ends I'm grabbing. I just feel so good about the ones that I'm high on. I just keep taking them. There goes Chris Godwin. I was hoping for him. We took Michael Wilson twice today, or we took him earlier today, but I don't take him a ton, and I still want to keep. I don't know. I think things are looking okay for Arizona. Like, I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're looking fine.
That was a Samuel Laporta there for me.
Yeah, but I'm going to punt on tight end a little bit because I like the Brenton Strange, Trevor Lawrence stack, but certainly, I don't know, see if Laporta comes back. Could do a Harold Fannin. There goes Laporta. Are you believing in the Jacoby Lane hype? Who is your favorite late round flyer? So for redraft, it would be a little bit different answer than for best ball. For redraft, I think the world is your oyster with your wide receiver 5 that you throw on the end because there's just so much value. I don't know if I would be as in on Jacoby Lane for redraft. I mean, Vegas thinks the offense is really good. I think that's fine if that's the route you go down. For redraft, who do I like grabbing is Casey Concepcion, Dejon Stribling, Marcus Golden, Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson's my absolute favorite down there, and those are all guys that are pretty easy to get in like round 10, 11, 12 as your wide receiver 5. In here, my favorite dart throw wide receiver all year has been Ted Hurst. I have crushed Ted Hurst. I don't even know how much exposure I have to him, but it's a lot. But yeah, I think Jacoby Lane looks great. I think he's a great late round pick. I take a lot of Keenan Allen for best ball because I think he's going to play somewhere this year. It's just a matter of where. I don't know if that's like necessarily an upside swing, but depending on where he lands, it could be. Like, what if the Chiefs decide to bring him in, right? So those have been most of my guys. I take Ryan Flournoy a little bit later. I think Dontavian Wicks was someone I was really heavily taking. Okay, so we don't get Laporta, but we'll do Harold Fan in this late and unstacked Harold Fan, and that's fine with me.
Decent exposure says, when did Waddle flip Garrett Wilson? I'm out on that. I mean, I would take Waddle before Garrett Wilson, but if you have the courage to roll into the season with Garrett Wilson, there's a good chance that works out.
Yeah.
In most of these rooms, I've seen Waddle going before Garrett Wilson. Like, he's kind of entrenched himself in the underdog rooms and in redraft as like a 3-4 turn pick guy. So I haven't been drafting as much of him.
Yeah, it just depends. Do you think that Waddle declined as Tua and the Dolphins' offense declined, or do you just think Waddle declined? Because Waddle was a top 12 receiver his first 2 years there. Um, yeah. Braylon, Bryant Lane, moving bigly. Yeah, Bryant is another one. Bryant is another one that I've been taking when I can. That's another really, really good pick late. Cortland Sutton's old. I don't think he's washed yet, but he's certainly old. Yeah, those are all good late though. I think like I don't know. Late receiver is very good, especially for redraft. I think late receivers hilariously easy. Bryant should be free in almost any like home league style draft. Again, for me, Casey Concepcion. I know the market is very high on Boston there too, right? And then Dejon Stribling, I don't think is going to rise enough. I think it's going to be one of those late season risers that does not actually get enough steam, and he's going to be very easy to load up on your rosters if you are so inclined, which I certainly am. When did Waddle flip Garrett? So Waddle and Wilson though. So to me, it's just, do I want the number one team in pass attempts per game, top 5 in pass rate over expectation within a top 12 fantasy quarterback throwing the ball with a Sean Payton offense, right? Or do I want Garrett Wilson on the Jets with Geno Smith throwing to him on an offense that I believe is run first, with a defensive head coach who probably wants to run the ball a lot, with an offensive coordinator I don't trust who didn't finish last season? I probably still prefer Waddle there, my guy.
Says, I think Waddle is sick, but doesn't play the whole season, and the Jets suck, but Geno is good enough to throw it to G5 170 times. Yeah, if you are buying Garrett Wilson in that like 4th round, right, you're hoping that he has a similar target share to what he had last year, which was, I guess, north of the 30s with Justin Fields throwing in the ball, right? So in theory, the targets would be better. It's just that I feel like Geno might be cooked, and it sounds like the Jets are wanting to take a look at Cade Klubnik at some point this season.
Oh my God, he just beat me to it. I was about to say, get ready to speak Cade Klubnik, my guy. That is what. Just be aware, sir. Be aware, Nico. If you sign up to, dude, I love that you have the same name as my little brother. My little brother's a mischievous little guy. He's a lock picker in San Francisco. That's his job. He works as a professional lock picker. And he used to get in trouble as a kid for like, he actually organized heists of like our local little league. Like, he got arrested. Like, he's a very mischievous little guy. But Nico, anyway, I give him very many lectures like this. Nico, get ready to speak Cade Klubnik. I can't even remember his name because it's so awful. They said they want to get a look at him this year, as in it's important to the organization to get a look at him this year, dude. I don't know. He looked okay in the preseason, but okay.
If the Broncos are crushing, Jonah Coleman is going to run out the clock. Yeah, Jonah Coleman or J.K. Dobbins.
I have a ton of Jonah Coleman, dude. I've drafted so much Jonah Coleman in decent exposure, so we are right there with you. He's going to be my jam, like last running back I take in every redraft league I can. I believe it's cheap access to the Broncos system. I think he would get early down work if Dobbins went down, not Harvey. And I think he's capable of 3 down work. He's actually a pretty good receiver out of the backfield. So I completely support being bullish on Jonah Coleman. Ted is out on Jonah Coleman, which is also reasonable. It's very rare that you see these random rookies come in and just all of a sudden run the league, right, or run a team. But Jonah Coleman is a lot like Kyle Monangai to me. That's what he looks like to me when he plays. Really stocky, short dude. Thick.
Okay. There is a world where we get Sean Payton in the backfield, and then it's all three of them to the point where none of them are useful. Sean Payton has done that many times to us.
He has not produced a top 20 finishing running back in his time in Denver. Not one.
I mean, J.K. Dobbins was well on the way before the injury last year, but you
Yes.
could say that's part of the player profile.
Yeah, that's why he's available at the price he is, right? So weird one because I like Brenton Strange so much, and he's at 149. This is like a big reach though over Rashid Shaheed and Tyrone Tracy and Dallas Goddard. We can white
I
knuckle
think
it here.
Goddard's just better. Goddard's just better than
Yeah,
Strange.
yeah. For me though, it's more Shaheed. We're gonna white knuckle it here. We're gonna hope Brenton Strange comes back to us on the stack because I love adding Rashid Shaheed to the JSN thing. We can also come back around. I don't do the extra quarterback a lot with this type of thing, but if Sam Darnold's there, we'll take a long hard look at him because that's the double stack. Goddard is a great pull. Juwan Johnson's a guy I'm comfortable with. Hopefully, we just get our Brenton Strange stack here at the end.
We see 40-year-old basketball players and players coming back from injuries in the NFL in years past. It makes me bullish on both older wide receivers and players who were injured last year, like Kittle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's a fair shout, right? Like, just because.
Okay, Ted's microphone 100% just died.
Can fall.
Oh wait, keep talking. You sound weird, but I can see your noise bar. It's still coming through.
Hold on.
Oh, there you go. Wait, no, there you go. You're still on.
Okay. Yeah, my headphones just died.
Yeah, I checked the sound
Again.
bar. You're good to go.
Yeah, I saw the sound bar. I was like, oh, did I die? But yeah, so like, I'm not buying players because of their age, right? Like Mike Evans, I think is a really good shout. It's all a mixture of things, right? George Kittle does worry me. We are 49ers fans on this channel, and he is 32 years old, coming off a torn Achilles, and explosiveness is kind of like George's calling cards. That does worry me a little bit, but it sounds like at least the team's saying he'll be ready by week 1. If you can get a good discount on him and you think that he's going to come back and be strong, I like that pick too.
Yeah, I think that's fine, dude. I'm not worried about the unks this year. Like as far as Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans, I think are two guys I'm totally comfortable with at the 4 or 5 turn in the 5th round. Oh, there goes Sam Darnold, one pick before, and we got run through at tight end. Not a pick I like making a lot, but with Trevor Lawrence, we'll just go ahead and throw Hunter in there too. Brutal turn. We lost all the tight ends we wanted and the double stack with Sam Darnold. That's okay. We can catch up on tight end. That's okay, but that is a huge bummer. That is not what I was hoping to have happen there. But yeah, dude, I'm not as worried about the old guys this year. I'm drafting a lot of Mark Andrews, Mike Evans. I personally believe Mike Evans is going to be a top 15 receiver in weekly rankings every single week that he is out there for the 49ers. For that reason, I have like no concerns whatsoever about drafting him in the 5th round. He will be a target of mine in the 5th round. I'm just not that worried about it. Derrick Henry, Vegas likes for like 14 to 16 touchdowns. He's live for 20 if he stays upright. I'm not worried about that. Christian McCaffrey is the hard fade for me as far as the health and old guys. I have less than like 2% Christian McCaffrey. It's just not a pick I'm making a lot. Very scary player to fade, but I can't stomach it, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, we're good, right?
Yep. We're all good. I checked. I'm checking.
I'm actually amazed that the headphones died twice today and it came back.
Kittle costs dribbling now. Yep. That is the problem.
Dude, I've seen Kittle getting pulled up to like the 8th round of Yahoo mocks.
Yep. Nope.
I will not be paying that price.
Nope. I don't really see. I mean, it depends how much you make of historical trends. I don't know. Like, I don't know how you feel about that either, Nico. But, that whole thing about the wide receiver or the tight end 5 very rarely outscores the tight end 15 in such a way that it made a difference for fantasy. So the conventional fantasy advice is once you get out, it's great or late for tight end. Once you get out of whatever the guys you think are that could be like tight end 1 contenders, which for I believe most people are including Harold Fannin and Kyle Pitts in there. I don't know about that. For me, I think it's like Laporta is the line there. And once you get out of there, you're kind of just supposed to punt the position. Okay, so I'm gonna do in Alvin Kamara here, get some volume and float in the running back room. But yeah, so like I just don't know because I don't think Kittle's going to be a full time player. I actually think primarily he's going to be used as a run blocker because that's where he's really important to the offense in his run blocking. Jake Tonjes is a pretty good receiving tight end. I don't know what the difference at that point between investing in Kittle or a Mark Andrews or a Dallas Goedert or a Strange or
Isaiah
a
Likely.
yeah, yeah, I'm out on Isaiah Likely, but if you're in on him, Isaiah Likely, I don't think it profiles that differently. Like I just don't think so. Why would you reach 3 rounds and give up like where Kittle's going on Yahoo? You're going to give up like, again, it depends if you're in on these guys or not, but like a Corum, a J.K. Dobbins, a Kenny Gainwell, Quentin Johnston. It's very pricey to take that tight end that's perceived as more secure in that range. So yeah, it's someone who I'm not quite. Nope. Even like I'm noticing Mark Andrews is pretty reliably in the 120s on redraft. I'll just roll Mark Andrews if I'm going late tight end at that point.
Omar Cooper's still available.
Yeah, I built a big position on that when he was 20 picks cheaper. Now I'm gonna chill out now that he's very way more expensive. I actually just need tight end though. I'm sort of in a weird spot here. Or I could just take another run. You know what? We're gonna do a Dylan Sampson. I like what we are seeing out of Dylan Sampson. Barner and Fannin share a bye week, so I would have to take another tight end if I go there. Very happy with this running back room. Marion Hampton, Josh Jacobs, Chris Rodriguez, Alvin Kamara, Dylan Sampson. I'm comfortable rolling 2 QB like this. I saw a whole dissertation on Twitter about how you're a loser if you draft like this. I will continue to be a loser drafting like that. Wide receiver room, very happy. JSN, Emeka Egbuka, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas, Michael Wilson, Rashid Shaheed, Travis Hunter. So I need to get a couple tight ends I feel good about here to wrap this thing up. Don't feel great about Travis Hunter, by the way. I don't. I think the train has officially left the station on the odds that he's a 60% offensive player or not this year.
Oh, certainly not. Certainly not. R.I.P. to the dynasty guys who were ripping 1-1s on Travis Hunter.
Yeah, man. Yep. No. Greg Dulcich, I don't like either because they've been hunting tight ends to try to bring in. Like that's not cool. It's not great news if you're a Greg Dulcich bull.
There's 5 Greg Dulcich bulls in the world that are upset by that. Offended.
Hey man, you laugh now. I was drafting some Greg Dulcich as my third tight end. I have a good amount of rosters with Greggy D as my third tight end.
Me too, man. I listen. He was. There's a very real path to him being the wide receiver 1 on that team. But now Caleb Douglas.
Yeah.
Holy, he looks pretty good.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks kind of exciting.
Yeah, making fun plays. Okay, let's see. So third tight end is just going to be F'd here, right? Because I'm going to go down to 198.
Indecent Exposure says, I keep getting Pacheco at 185. Did he die? He did not die, but he has a sprained MCL. And it is already Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, so.
MCL injury. And by the way, I don't like the smart-ass question. You know he didn't die. You know that didn't happen. It would have been all over the news, dude. Don't. Come on. No, he didn't die. MCL. I don't know though. Did you see the thing where they were saying like they're planning for 85% touches to Gibbs? Like they said it's time for Gibbs to take over as a workhorse. We don't view Pacheco as a Montgomery replacement. Isn't that a little?
Well, he's certainly a different class of player than Montgomery.
Yeah, but I don't even mean that. I mean like, isn't that a little bearish? I don't know. My thought is they're going to have 450 to 500 running back touches there, and it's not going to all go to. Okay, so we still get AJ Barner late. It's not going to all go to Gibbs, right? So I think he's a pretty good shout.
I think they're like probably gonna bring someone in. Would be my guess. Like it could be a James Conner spot.
Trey Benson.
Since you guys are 49ers fans, how high are you on Stribling and Deebo Samuel? Extremely high on both, I think, comparative. In a vacuum, I prefer Stribling a little bit more because of the upside there. I think he's a perfect, like, big swing to take, right? Especially in redraft. Debo, I think he's going to be good this year, and he's going to have his role within the offense, but I don't think we're going to see like prime Debo years or anything like that. I think we see some of the wide back this year, especially if Christian McCaffrey is injured for any reason, right? So I think we're live for a couple Debo rushing touchdowns. So yeah, I'm high on both of them as like bench pieces for your drafts or like an underdog, like wide receiver 4 or 5, that type of thing.
Yeah, so for me, I much prefer Stribling to Debo for redraft. For best ball, though, like I think you're going to get some weird stuff with Debo, exactly like Ted said. Like there's going to be games where he gets a rushing touchdown or they set up screens. They have a really cool screen like portfolio for Debo that Shanahan runs. I think we're going to see all of that this year. So that is very exciting to me. I like Debo for some big spike weeks this year. I think that'll happen, but I'd prefer to have Stribling and managed. You know, Debo's had some trouble staying healthy, right? And that affects you much more in best ball than it does in, or you can't drop him in best ball, right? But you get the spike weeks, like, it's, you know, I prefer Stribling though and managed. Stribling and managed by quite a bit. I want Stribling as my wide receiver 5 everywhere I can. Cool. We get another Ted Hurst, Baker Mayfield stack at the end of the draft here. Nice and nice and loaded with our Buccaneers bags this year. Hopefully that goes well. It's one of the biggest bets I am making.
Death, taxes, and Yanni drafting Ted Hurst.
Oh, dude, do you remember when I first got on here in the summer and I said it's one of my favorite rookie tape like reels that I've ever watched? And I didn't even, this was before the preseason, this was before any of it, before Chris Godwin says he looks like Mike Evans, before all of it. He just comes out there and like I watched his rookie tape and I went, oh my God, that's so exciting. And I've been sprung on that since. Now, granted, I thought Elijah Surratt would beat out Jacoby Lane as the Ravens wide receiver too. I took a loss on that. Like, seems like Elijah Surratt's just not a thing. So I'm wrong all the time too. But I love the way Ted Hurst looks. I love the way his trajectory's gone this summer. I'm still drafting that.
Well, I think the word you used to describe him was he runs like a gazelle. Do you remember the last player you said runs like a gazelle? To me.
Well, I remember I said Tedero McMillan's buttery, and you laughed at me. I said as a rookie, he's buttery. That was the term that I remember using that you laughed in my face. No,
you called Justin Fields. You said Justin Fields is like a graceful gazelle out there.
He's so good. Justin Fields is so good at football.
Yeah, man, he's great.
Oh my God, he should have been a Niner. Okay, so yeah, in decent exposure, that's fine, but I don't think Gibbs takes everything in the 5. At some point, it's just risk management. Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. I think Pacheco has a role, dude. I'm fucking around with you. I think Pacheco has a role. I do occasionally take him. The reason that I have almost none of him in the portfolio was because I was jamming Jonah Coleman at like 145 to 155, and now Jonah Coleman is slid up to like the low 140s. I've even seen him in the 130s. That's getting out of my price range, but I built the position and now I can let him go. Maybe that is a good point. I should swing back around on Pacheco. We need a tight end 3 here to give us some weekly float. Charlie Kolar is my preference over David Njoku because I think there's an outside chance he's just the starting tight end in San Diego. I don't think it's likely, but we need a third guy to fill us in for a week here.
We are Charlie Kolar.
Okay. All right, here's the roster. Pretty stacked up, I guess, like in terms of literal quarterback stacks. A little bit light on quarterback for the current meta, but I don't care. I'm typically a 2 quarterback guy. It's just how I am. I would have taken Sam Darnold if he didn't get picked 1 pick before us down here. Right there. Yeah, that killed me. Okay. JSN, Omarion Hampton, Emeka Egbuka, Josh Jacobs, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Wilson, Fannin, Mayfield, Rodriguez, Shaheed, Hunter, Kamara, Sampson, Barner, Ted Hurst, Charlie Kolar. Pretty happy with that roster. Okay, we just have time for 2 today. I am undergoing what I call Operation Save a Whale. I'm in the process of dropping 80 pounds. That means I have to walk 4 to 5 miles every night, or else it doesn't work. The whole thing falls apart. So I've got to get my walk in before in the lovely Humboldt County, before the homeless people start walking around. Dude, I don't know if I told you, Ted, because my headphones have been dying. Has been a theme lately. My headphones died on the walk the other day, and I did not realize that some of these homeless dudes I walk by are like doing the thing where they're like having a whole shout shouting contest with no one, you know? I didn't realize
Oh, that's fun.
I did not realize I've been walking around because my music's in and it's pitch black at night and I walk for 4 or 5 miles every night. So it's like an hour 20. I did not realize I've been walking by people screaming at the top of their lungs for like a year and a half, 2 years now. So now I have to go a little earlier, right? Keep my head on the swivel. So, okay. Thank you guys so much for
Sweet sounds of Theo Greminger were filling your ears.
Yeah,
instead of the homeless.
the sweet sounds of Theo Greminger. I actually have a playlist. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for checking us out. One last shout out to Indecent Exposure. I absolutely love his tool. I do need to update my portfolio. I've been a little slow to it here. Check him out on, I believe he's on Discord. I believe he's going to start a YouTube channel. We'll link him at some point here when we get going. And thank you guys for checking us out, Free Tendies Fantasy. If you are so inclined, please like and subscribe. We're going to stream every night now through the rest of the season, building up to 40 hours of streaming over 2 weekends when we draft the 15 or 16 Free Tendies Fantasy Leagues. If you want to join one of those leagues, the invite is in our Discord. Come and take our money. We're putting up, I don't know, like 20, 25 grand this year. Whoever, if you want to come win all 20 leagues, you'll get all the money. That's how it works, right? Ted, anything to leave the world with before we go?
Well, first of all, is that confirmed? We're doing the extra 5 leagues?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm almost paid up. If I pay up, I'm opening them. Yeah. We'll see.
All right. So, if you decide that we are worth a sub, there's going to be a bell next to the subscribe button. If you click that bell, whenever we go live or we post a video, it will just send a notification straight to your phone. So if you're a subscriber, make sure you do that so you can see our stuff.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. And